Hello, so today I'm going to show you guys how to make pork dumplings. First, you have to get your wrappers, then your ground pork, and I like to add in some Napa cabbage. Make sure that's patted dry after rinsing it, some scallions, some chives for garnish. Then we're going to have a little water to the side, some olive oil, some soy sauce, some sesame oil, and the seasonings of your choice. So make sure you pat your Napa cabbage and your scallions dry after rinsing it off. After that, I'm going to cut my Napa cabbage in half and I'm just going to chop it up very finely. I also want to take my scallions and I also want to chop those up, which I've already chopped those. So like I said, with the Napa cabbage, you're just going to chop it as fine as you can. And this is what it should look like. Next, we're going to take our chives. And I just did a few chives just to have some garnish on top for when we finish the pork dumplings. So you don't have to cut as many of these. So you just keep chopping until you have your desired amount. And so I didn't really need that many, so that's how many I did. So these are the wrappers. I want to make sure that they're circular. So they only had squares, so I cut the circles myself. So I just took off each of the end pieces and just cut off that triangle. And then you don't need those unless you want to make wonton strips or some Asian croutons. And so after I take those triangle pieces off, I'm going to then round out the other ends. So where there's pointier ends, I'm going to take my knife and I'm going to try my best to smooth them out until I get as close to a circle as possible. It doesn't have to be perfect if you're cutting them, but I like to get as close to a circle as possible. And here's the finished cut. It looks just like a circle. So we're good. Okay, now you're going to take your ground pork. And then I wanted to see if I could fit most of the pork in this one bowl. But so I just took bits by bit when I separated it, and I realized that I did need to use another bowl after seeing how full that bowl was. So I take another bowl, and really I just split it pretty much in half. So I take some pork out of that first bowl and put it into the second one. And so after that, I'm going to take my scallions, and I'm going to just try to distribute them evenly amongst both bowls. And so after I have my desired amount of scallions inside, I'm then going to take my Napa cabbage, which is coming up next. So then the finely cut Napa cabbage is going to go in. And then I'm just going to place that on top. And then I'll be ready to mix after I add in my seasoning. So the seasonings of your choice, I just added a little bit on top because it'll all get mixed in. So I have onion powder, I have black pepper. And then I also took some sesame oil because it helps it incorporate the pork with everything else so it can pretty much solidify. Then I have my soy sauce that I add. Not too much, but I just add a little soy sauce. And then a little more of the seasoning of your choice. So this is what it should look like. I did clear bowl so you can see what it looks like at the bottom. And now after this, you're going to mix it all up. So like I was saying, just to make sure that it gets fully incorporated and that everything is mixed in very well, just take your fingers and you just mash it together pretty much. So you just keep mushing and mashing. And then in the end, it should look like this. So make sure it's fully incorporated and very well mixed. So you're going to take your wrapper, a little water, and I take some of my ground pork mixture and I place it in the middle of the wrapper. And then once I see how much filling it is, just make sure it's about an inch left on the ends. Take some water. I'm going to dip my fingers in the water, and I'm just going to place water on half of the wrapper. And then after it's placed on half, I'm going to take that wrapper and fold it in half like a taco. And I'm going to pinch the inside of one end and then pinch the inside of the other end. And then I'm going to use my plate to flatten it out a little bit and to make sure that it is sealed properly. And this is how it should look on the bottom, and that's how it should look on the top. So here I'm just going with the rest of my pork dumplings. I'm not going to use that entire bowl of mixture, but for this video, I'm just going to make as many pork dumplings as I can pretty much fill a pan with. So I'm just going to keep making some. I'm going to make about 6 of these for now. And so you just take your water again and you place it on half of the wrapper. Make sure you fold it in half. You pinch one end and then you go to the other end and pinch it. And then make sure that it's sealed properly. I like to do an extra press on the end just to make sure that the wrapper won't fly open because it won't be a great look if The wrapper comes open when you're used to dumplings being pretty sealed and secure once you eat them. So yeah, that is my last one. And so that's what they should look like once you've finished folding them. So now we're going to take a pan, and then we're going to take our olive oil. I'm going to put olive oil in the pan, and this is to make sure that the pork dumplings do not stick and burn on your pan when you're steaming them. So you just roll the pan around and make sure it's coated nicely. I'm going to take those dumplings, and then once you make sure that your pan is hot, you just have to wait till it gets hot. And so once it's hot, you're going to take those pork dumplings and you're going to put them on the flat side down, and then you're just going to place them in the pan. And once they're all placed in the pan, you want to make sure that oil is distributed evenly amongst them so none of the pork dumplings burn. And so you're going to take that water that we have to the side, and you're just going to put as much water to where it fills the bottom of the pan. And you can take a lid, and it doesn't have to be a lid that actually fits the pan. You just need to make sure that it's covered completely. And this is what it should look like after about 5 minutes of steaming. And so I have it on high, but you do have to temp your pork dumplings to make sure that your pork is fully cooked. And so once it's pan seared, you do have that beautiful crust on the bottom. This is the sauce for the dumplings. So I just take some soy sauce, some sesame oil, and I also take some of those chives that we chopped up earlier just to add a little pop of color to it. And so that's just a simple pork dumpling sauce that I just put together. Here are our finished pork dumplings, and there's our sauce. So I just take out our sauce and I'm gonna pour it on top just to give it a little enhancement, and then that chive goes on top.